What if events went differently in Captain America Civil War? What if the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz was in Captain America Civil War? Imagine if the events of Wicked were intertwined into the MCU timeline. Welcome back, my fellow watchers of the multiverse. My name is Max Charlebois, aka MissedThePart, and we're back with another What If episode. In today's crossover, we're doing something a little bit different, and that is finally a Wizard of Oz and MCU crossover storyline. I'm super excited to dive into this What If, and again, I want to give a massive shout out to all the watchers of the multiverse for watching all the latest videos. I want to just say thank you guys so much for the fantastic support. The YouTube members, I can't thank you enough. And also the Patreon supporters. I can't thank you guys enough. It really does mean a lot to me. This was a highly requested What If, and I think it was mainly requested because there was elements of, Wanda Maximoff, as you guys can see in the thumbnail, and also the Wicked Witch of the West. So it will be interesting if Wicked will be able to maybe turn Wanda against the Avengers in such a critical point in the timeline. But that being said, my fellow watchers, let's dive into the brand new episode. Location: Lagos, Nigeria. Brock Rumlow was surrounded and he knew it. Right in front of him was Captain America, Wanda Maximoff, Natasha Romanoff, and Sam Wilson. At that moment, all he felt was desperation. He was going to make a statement by any means necessary. As Captain America apprehended and grabbed him, Rumlow knew that he could take out Captain America here and now. He would sacrifice himself but eliminate his enemy. He began to berate Captain America on the possibility of Bucky Barnes being alive, an action which distracted Steve Rogers just like he had expected him to. So far, this seemed like a worthy cause. As swift as possible, Rumlow activated the bomb he had on him. Unfortunately for Rumlow, someone else was swifter. From the corner, Wanda Maximoff used her powers to control the imminent impulse, encasing Rumlow in the wall of fire and taking him high up into the air. It was a difficult talk, but Wanda had to do it. As she lifted him up, she realized that if she let go midair, he was going to explode next to a building and possibly kill everyone inside that building. This was definitely something she could not allow for. With an extra spur of energy, she lifted a dying Rumlow high up into the sky, far away from any structure. His screams dissipated quickly as he disintegrated into a million pieces in the atmosphere. "I did it," she sighed, as she fell to the ground. At first, her comrades were excited. She had just saved Steve's life and without any complications. However, they celebrated too soon. To their horror, the sky began to tear up at the spot where Rumlow exploded. There was a strike of lightning as the tear expanded into a portal. Then, a figure fell out of the sky, landing on the market nearby in a spur of green mist. People were thrown aside in the ensuing chaos, sustaining major injuries in the process. When Captain America and his team rushed to examine what had fallen out of the sky, they realized it was a humanoid figure. It was female and had long black hair. It was also wearing a black gown. But that was not the most striking feature of this humanoid. It was also green. Location: Avengers Base, United States. In no time, the news of the Avengers' visit to Nigeria has spread worldwide. Perhaps the worst part of this circulation was the fact that every news channel paid attention to the fact that the Avengers inadvertently released an unknown creature into their world. And now, no one knew what this creature was capable of. In the months that passed, Wanda blamed herself for this mess, although Vision and the other Avengers tried to dissuade her. Perhaps what disturbed the Avengers most was that the United Nations were now more than willing to pass the Sokovia Accords, which would subject the Avengers to government supervision. While Tony Stark was in support of the idea, Steve Rogers did not fancy the government monitoring their movements. Unable to deal with their bickering, Wanda left the room. As she moved along the hallway, she remembered that the creature that fell from the sky was locked up in a containment unit. Well, it wasn't a bad idea to go visit this prisoner. It was the least she could do since she brought it into this world. Ever since the green humanoid was captured, she had not awoken from her slumber, which worried the Avengers. The moment Wanda arrived at the containment unit, her heart melted. She took a closer look at the green humanoid and realized that this creature wasn't exactly a monster, she was only green. In fact, she was a perfectly shaped young woman with black hair. The only downside was that she was green. "I'm sorry," Wanda whispered, stepping closer. To her amazement, the green woman woke up. On seeing this, Wanda quickly moved closer, asking the woman if she was okay and if she needed anything. The woman struggled to make sense of the situation, asking where she was and who Wanda was. Wanda quickly explained that she was an Avenger and the green woman was at the Avengers base. When Wanda asked if the woman could tell her name, the woman suddenly realized that she could not remember anything from her past. The only thing that she knew was her name, and her name was Elphaba. Elphaba struggled to remember who she truly was, but nothing was coming. However, she was grateful to have someone like Wanda Maximoff stay by her side. In the past few days, Wanda had been by Elphaba's side, trying to help her understand who she was. When Alphaba inquired if Wanda would not disappoint her comrades by being here, Wanda noted that she was already a disappointment to them, and it didn't matter anymore. Alphaba chuckled slightly, making Wanda smile. Suddenly, Alphaba felt a strong sensation in her body. Jerking up immediately, Wanda, startled, asked her what was going on. "Something terrible is about to happen," Alphaba gasped. Location: United Nations Conference Room, Vienna. The world leaders had been seated, ready to sign the Sokovia Accords and bring the Avengers into their much-needed supervision. Present in the meeting was T'Chaka and T'Challa of Wakanda. Everything was going well until, to everyone's surprise, Vision bursted into the hall. With his superhuman speed, he sped across the room quickly, locating a bomb. With his ever-phasing ability, he dismantled the bomb with imminent effect, containing what would have become a massive casualty. Everyone was saved, thanks to the efforts of Vision. What people did not know was that he had been urged by Wanda, who in turn was prompted by Alphaba. Location: Avengers base. Ever since Alphaba discovered the United Nations threat, Wanda had felt more drawn to her. To Wanda, Elphaba had powers she didn't even understand, which was something Wanda could relate to on a personal level. As they discussed more, Wanda suggested that she help Elphaba discover more about her past. Of course, Elphaba was more than happy to receive Wanda's help, to discover who she was. With that, Wanda closed her eyes and with deep concentration, penetrated Elphaba's mind with her powers. At first, there was nothing but blank space. However, Wanda began to feel something buried deep in Elphaba's mind. She probed further, and then all hell broke loose. Elphaba could see it. She was dressed in black, a broom in her hand. She was in the center of the room, flying high in the air as she laughed wickedly. Below her was chaos. Her power shifted, structures and even buildings outside. The birds wept as she screeched, but she wasn't alone. Beside her was Wanda Maximoff. only this time she was dressed differently. She had a crown and called herself the Scarlet Witch, emanating the essence of red magic as she flew in the air as well. Below them, the Avengers were focused to bow, quivering for their lives. They called Elphaba the Wicked Witch of the West. Looking at Wanda, Elphaba laughed. Together, we are unlimited. Elphaba and Wanda jerked off their seats, trembling as they tried to recover from the vision they just saw. At first, they were silent. Then Elphaba spoke first. She admitted that she was dangerous and quite possibly would be the one to draw Wanda to the dark side. However, Wanda tried to assure that it was just a vision and did not mean anything. Elphaba didn't budge. She reminded Wanda that she had green skin. If anything, green skin was an indication that she was dangerous. Then Elphaba urged Wanda to stay away from her. At first, Wanda tried to disagree, but soon enough she was hit with a wave of magic, throwing her across the room. Elphaba was horrified by what she did. However, she refused to show it. She told Wanda that she was the Wicked Witch of the West now, and Wanda had to know her limits. Location: Helmut Zemo's lair. Zemo had been heavily disappointed to learn that his master plan to wreck the United Nations and pin the blame on Bucky Barnes had failed. However, in spite of his annoyance, he realized quickly that the battle was not over yet. He was going to get his revenge whether anyone liked it or not. From his consistent monitoring of the Avengers, he knew that they were keeping the Green Woman they captured as a hostage in the Avengers' compound. Something immediately clicked in Zemo, that this woman might have been the reason his original plan failed. However, without further ado, he decided that he would target this woman. He called out to Bucky Barnes and began to give him instructions. They were very clear and discreet. Deadly. Bucky was to infiltrate the Avengers compound, find the Green Woman, and kill her. Elphaba was seated in her containment cell, eyes fixated on the ground below her. She could not help but keep on replying the scenes she had just seen over and over again. The Wicked Witch of the West was what they had called her, and after the display of power she demonstrated when she knocked Wanda away, she knew that she was dangerous and had to be contained. Tears dropped from her eyes as she struggled with the fact that she was destined to do evil things. However, she wondered if she was truly evil. Why then did she feel so much remorse over her destiny? Perhaps she would never understand. To the Avengers' ignorance, Bucky Barnes had infiltrated the Avengers compound. Steve Rogers' room was the first place that he visited, ensuring to say a quick hello as he dropped in. Of course, Steve was shocked to see Bucky here. However, the reunion was cut short, as Bucky quickly incapacitated him with an electrical gun. With Steve taken care of, Bucky silently moved to the rooms of Tony Stark, using the element of surprise to take him out too. Most of the other Avengers were not in the building, and he wasn't planning on ensuring that they were alerted either. Moving swiftly, his next target was Wanda Maximoff. She was walking towards the containment cell that housed the Green Woman. The moment Wanda stepped into the room, Bucky sprung up on her and electrocuted her, causing her to become numb almost immediately. He then injected her with a substance. Of course, Elphaba was shocked to see this and screamed. Bucky immediately held a knife to Wanda's throat and awaited the next phase of his plan. As he expected, Vision showed up almost immediately. However, before Vision could proceed, Bucky warned him that no matter what tricks Vision wanted to pull, only Bucky knew the antidote to the substance he had injected Wanda with. Using Wanda as a bargaining chip, Bucky ordered Vision to surrender, or Wanda would die in a matter of seconds. Having developed a close friendship with Wanda, Vision did not want to see her get hurt. Therefore, he decided to surrender. allowing Bucky to zap him with a special radioactive gun that quickly neutralized his powers and tossed him aside. As soon as Vision was out of the way, Bucky looked at a dying Wanda. From her cell, Elphaba pleaded that Bucky keep his word and give Wanda the antidote before she gave up the ghost. However, Bucky took one good look at Wanda and scoffed, noting that Wanda would just be a mere casualty. Hearing this, Elphaba felt something rise within her. It was an explosion of power she could not understand. In no time, she let the power out with a scream, effectively breaking her containment cell and throwing Bucky to the wall. He remained in midair, his gasps begging for mercy. Elphaba could feel the power running through her veins as she stepped on the broken pieces of glass. As she moved closer to a pleading Bucky, she could see herself assuming her mantle of the Wicked Witch of the West now. Now she was going to make Bucky pay dearly. And then it hit her. The memories of who she truly was began to seep into her mind. She was a student of She's University. Her best friend was a girl named Glydia Upland. She used to idolize the Wizard of Oz. She eventually realized the wizard was a tyrant. She became the Wicked Witch of the West to oppose his tyranny. She was not evil. She was good. If she wasn't good, then why did her powers manifest when she saw Wanda hurt? And with that, Elphaba instead began to dive into Bucky's mind. This way, she discovered a series of mental commands that made him do things he originally never wanted to do. Just like her, he was misunderstood. With that, Elphaba closed her eyes and used her magic to heal Bucky's mind. He would never be a slave to anyone ever again. Elphaba took one good look at a dying Wanda. Seeing Wanda in so much pain made her deeply hurt. She kneeled down beside her and held her with comforting arms. As her skin touched Wanda, she could feel chaos magic pulsing through her skin, directly into Wanda. Wanda heaved a deep sigh as she began to breathe normally. Elphaba had just healed her. With a smile, she grabbed her black coat and a black hat and left over the compound. Location: in the woods. As Elphaba walked into the woods, she took a moment to feel the breeze. She had spent a long time in this new world, that a part of her did not want to leave it. Even if she was a prisoner, she had made a genuine friend in the person of Wanda. She felt sad that she was leaving without telling Wanda goodbye, but she knew her world needed her most. With a deep breath, Elphaba channeled a broom, and the moment it reached her palm, she used it to levitate high into the sky. She was going to find a way home and save Oz from the tyranny of the wizard. But first, she would make a quick stop in Hollywood and check out the doppelgangers of herself and Glydia. She hoped that in this life, they had found each other and peace. And as she flew in the air, she sang, "So if you care to find me, look to the western sky." Somewhere across the city, Wanda Maximoff heard her cry and smiled. And that is going to be it for What If Elphaba was in Captain America Civil War. Imagine if the events of Wicked had taken place during the MCU timeline, and specifically during the Sokovia Accords. It would have been a very interesting timeline to see these two different universes intertwine and be interconnected. Now, would you guys like to see another part? I do plan on doing another part once we get more of the Wicked universe. I want to do Infinity War, and I would love to have Tony Stark kind of enter the Wizard of Oz. I think it would be really cool if he got to learn all of that lore and that universe and whatnot. Maybe even making some sort of technology over there. I think it would be very, very interesting. But that being said, my fellow watchers of the multiverse, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn those notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. Thank you guys so much for tuning in into today's video, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care and have a wonderful day. Peace out.